In the front, the Renault Arkana shows the friendly Renault face. Then the daytime running lights here forms this either C on the one hand or opposite C form. The main headlamp unit comes with LED as standard. This one being the RS line is a sporty design pack. So we have this mesh structure in black in the lower area for more strong design in the lower area right here. Also some more contrast and a striking orange color for today. The length is at 4 meters 57, 15 foot or 180 inches. So that's the lengthwise between the Katja and the Koleos. And here when I have the key in my pocket, you see here the car opens itself. Also greetings to put out the side mirrors in a contrasting style. Yeah, and again this really screaming out orange color for today. Some strong shoulders right there in this SUV Coupé styling. And yeah, if you think about, you could get 10 of these or one Lamborghini Euros. Yeah, that's your choice. Wheels come from 17 inch to 18 inch. These here are the optional 18 inch wheels in black design. RS line has this badge right here with this fake air outtake alike styling. Then the contrasting lower part right here, quite strong. The ground clearance is still at 19 centimeters or 7.5 inches. So actually still somewhat soft off-road capable. But of course, the thing here with the car is the falling roofline right here. That's why people would go for that. And in the rear, we can see a modern light signature. You can see here the light goes right there. So, and also stretched, stressing the width of the vehicle. Then you have in the RS line here this black contrasting lip. Lower end here, this is like a something graphic, I don't know, but this here, fake exhaust police, Autogefühl fake exhaust police is in place because, yeah, this is a pure case of a fake exhaust. Overall, a black contrast in the lower end, but you get this typical SUV coupe rear ending. Overall for this kind of segment, a very consistent design. Under the hood, first of all, gas struts. We hardly ever see that at this price point. Turbo petrol engine, 4 cylinders, 140 horsepower or 160. This is the lower spec here for today. Always mated with the automatic gearbox, a dual clutch transmission, front wheel drive only. Mild hybrid system for some regenerative braking. And then there will also be the 1.6 liter naturally aspirated petrol engine. This is an inbuilt hybrid with a bigger battery. Not that big, of course, so a true hybrid like, for example, Toyota is using battery size-wise, but then rather with the system we already know from Honda, with a hybrid system that can drive the front wheels in an electric way, but that can also be driven directly from a combustion engine, or where the combustion engine can also serve as a generator, depending on the speed you are driving, always picking the most efficient mode. And it's still then front-wheel drive, but with 2 electric motors, one serving then as a generator, as a transmission for the generator, so to speak, and the other then directly to drive the wheels. If you are a Renault customer, you know Renault had these key cards even before Tesla had them. Yeah, the Tesla one is really like a credit card. This one is just a very slim key fob. Nothing new with Renault, but actually quite good to put it in your pocket. But you can also use it with keyless entry. Here, closing it with the button right here, and then I step away from the vehicle for a second. That the vehicle thinks I'm gone, but I'll be back. Jawohl. So, and then I come back. And the car greets me with folding out the side mirrors, and I don't have to put my hand on the inside to open it. It's already open right now, and I can show you the door closing sound, which is somewhat okay. Yeah, actually quite good. Why not? Then, instead of the doors, RS line, we have the soft touch materials right here, red contrast stitches then in this sport design line, then also with this carbon fiber styling insert. Once again, soft plush here. Then we have the optional Bose sound system, RS line entry badge, RS line floor mats down there, and also the steering wheel with the yellow contrast stitches on the inside, perforation left and right, and also the red contrast right here. As for the seats, the base version would start with a normal black fabric seat. Then in the middle trim you have a mix of fabric on the inside and leatherette on the outside. So animal-free options are there. This is the RS line seat with some microfiber, but then also some leather share. And as far as my info goes, this is from animal origin, or let's say split part. Then let's get inside. This is an SUV Coupé or a crossover. Well, you know, the definitions are somewhere, somehow. It doesn't matter that much. The crucial thing is, when you are here inside the vehicle, it feels already quite, sophisticated. Upright seating position really rather feels like an SUV. Electric seat control right here, front, and also then the back part. Electric control here also of the lumbar support. I usually leave it all out, like back. I don't put it in. Then the steering wheel up and down, in and out, a smooth process, and we also have some nice shifting levers right here. Overall, the first quality impression is actually quite decent. And then the headroom, when I'm sitting here with 1m86 or 6'1", still some headroom left. Interior overview here with a soft touch dashboard, and in the RS line here with this carbon fiber styling, and they really did it in a very great and sophisticated way. It looks really real. Then you have different options as for the screen. Here in the central part you either get a 7-inch screen, which is more horizontally oriented, or this bigger 9.3-inch screen, which is vertically oriented. Soon more deals to that. On the left side you start with analog gauges with 5.2-inch small screen in the middle. These here are the optional, or then included in the high trims, for digital 10.25-inch instruments. Soon more deals to that. Steering wheel, once again shifting pedals, then the red contrast, right side to control something of the instruments, and left side to control the cruise control. Further on the right side, between here, the screen and the steering wheel is the start-stop engine button with a nice metal knurling. And what you can just hardly see, there's different, another column here on the right side where you can switch or toggle the song list and also have a volume control, so behind the steering wheel. And then in the middle part here you have some hotkeys for the screen, like you have the seat heating as menu, and then the drive mode selector for the vehicle. Soon more of that in the driving part. In lower part, thank God we have that. Still a manual climate unit again with nice metal knurling around. Just how they are put in there. I mean, if you really want to, and shake them right and left, but I mean, who does that? Yeah, just we win the quality check here. But overall, it's a very good tactile feeling here, or haptical feeling. It's really nice. Then in the lower part, 12-volt power supply, 2 USB-A chargers, but there's also inductive charging pad underneath. Then you have the dual clutch transmission with a classic shifting lever. So everything straightforward. Middle console, adaptive cup holders, and last but not least you have this leatherette arm cover, soft, is decently attached, and underneath a little bit more space. Here in the middle console there's also a designated spot here for your keycard. Taking a look at the digital instruments, they're very clear to read. You can also change the brightness, left next to the steering wheel for example, and then you can also have a GPS view, if you like, all over the place, that you have the GPS map in your line of sight. And if you switch to the sport mode, for example, the gauges also adapt and have then this centralized RPM and speed view. Infotainment screen, you can see here the Apple CarPlay integration. It also has a quite clear display overall. I would like a turning volume knob, so this store column behind the steering wheel is not the best, I think. But the Bose sound system here, it's actually quite decent, so Yeah, I like it. So it has a typical Bose sound as well. You know what I mean. Hard to describe, but if you have a Bose sound system at home or in a car, you know what I mean. And then let's go back to the Renault system. You can also have the car internal GPS, which is, I mean, from the visualization, not the most fancy one, but it does the job. You see, it's also responsive enough, so fast enough. So I've really reworked the whole infotainment system thing. There you can also directly hop again to the Apple CarPlay, or you can have here a driver assistance view, or activate or deactivate something of that. Have a weather view. Finally, it's warmer again. That's really cool. And then hazard lights, and then you have here the multi-sense view, sport mode. The gears are turned up high. Yeah, on the racetrack for sure. Oh, sweet. Yeah, but more of that than in the driving part later on. Overall, I think straightforward. Here with the volume control there, or at the store column, not happy with that overall, but everything else I'm quite happy with. And good thing that we have the climate unit still in the lower area. As for the rear seats, well, it's a compact SUV. Is there any compromise as for headroom and for leg space and so on? And now I'll try a thing. I'll watch the camera, keeping your connection right here, and then still find the right door. Yeah, that was a good choice. So, and here we go. Inside of the doors here is hardpack on the top part, then soft here for your elbows and so on. Also electric levers for the windows and even automatic function. Then you can see here the red stitches style also for the rear seats. There we go. And you see in the middle console there is some step, and although it's a front-wheel driven platform, and then you have USB chargers, USB-A chargers, but you already see that legroom wise this probably won't be the best result for today. Let's see. Yeah, I somewhat fit in here very closely, but yeah, I do hit the front seat with my knees when I'm driving, so the packaging is not the best, so you should just be a little bit smaller than me. Headroom wise, however, this directly fits, so headroom wise no problem. And the overall seating position is not bad here, actually also quite upright. Just you should be a little bit shorter as for the legs. Isofix at the outsides, and you also have the nice microfiber inserts. And this is also very interesting here, to put the rear seat belts that they don't fly all over the place, that you can fold the rear seats very well. They hold in place right here. And because, I mean, sometimes it can be that you have some rattling sounds from a seat belt that is just like here, doing like this here when you have like a bumpy ride. And so when you put it right there, it's also better as for the, for the noise or for the potential noise it is making. So, yeah. Here we go. Live on Autogefühl. Then here, middle part, cup holders, but they're not adaptive. So for the kids, yeah, with spilling potential. And as for the middle seating, it is fairly soft and also works headroom-wise, but again, yeah, just a problem with my knees. What about that trunk? Is there a compromise because of this building style? It's a manual hatch here, but just fine with that. Good gas struts right and left. You have this cover here, but you can also remove it. And you see here, very well usable still. It's not too high, at least in this setup, because here there is this even loading sill, so that it's easier to load things in and out. About 500, a little bit over 500 liters, up to 1,300 liters when you fold the seats. And the true hybrid version then has 70 liters less. Here in this setup here, it can be a little bit tricky with putting the backpack, because that way it would not fit. You have to put it a little bit more inward then. However, you can also remove this whole thing. You can either flip it up like this, and then you can put things underneath, or you can completely take it out. That would be possible too. And then of course you have even more height available, and you see here this whole height then would be quite substantial. So some more space underneath that even. There could also be replacement tire when you put out these additional arrangements. So I think very well usable still. Some compromise of course to the height when you think about the Coleos or so. And yeah, talking about compromise, there's one thing that is striking me literally, that is this thing, and I had my experience with that today already. Let's take it that way. Thomas's driving lounge with the all-new Renault Arkana or Arkana. Told you initially, however you want to say. And we start here with a little urban driving, get into the motorway, and then also some countryside driving. Here, starting with the steering. You see, I don't have to steer that much. It's really easy to steer. It doesn't give me the best connected feeling, but it's actually quite okay. Here, maybe it's it lets you play a little bit. That is, of course, more relaxed for running straight. It's not that progressive, but overall, I think quite okay. The perforated structure here also gives you a good grip here on the steering. As for the overview, you have this SUV Coupé building style. That means to the rear there's just a tiny, very flat window to look through, but you can still see things. And to the sides, it's okay. The B-pillar is quite thick, as usually with the cars nowadays. But you also have the blind spot monitor. We will see that in action also pretty soon. There's another Arkana at the traffic light right here, same color. And then a little bit slalom-like already. You feel that the suspension is actually quite stiff, quite sporty, and this is also supposed to set it apart a little bit from the normal SUV siblings in the Renault portfolio. If you think about the Kadjar and the Colliers, the car is here between them lengthwise, but from the whole design and also from the driving part, it's more in a sporty orientation. Here once again, 70 kilometers an hour. It feels actually then pretty direct as for the suspension. Yeah, but again, steering feel not the most connected one. As for the noise insulation, now we're getting towards 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, and so far it's reasonably silent. We will also drive a little bit faster pretty soon, but so far pretty happy with that. I mean, the design itself looks really like streamlined, and so far holding also the promise. You still have an upright seating position. You feel that you would be driving an SUV, or at least a crossover, so that's really likable, that you don't get any lower back pain or something when you drive longer trips. And also the dual clutch transmission, which is standard in here. We're driving the 140 horsepower version of the pure petrol engine for this vehicle, which gives also a lot of calmness and relaxed feeling in here. It's not a car to do racing, although it looks quite sporty on the exterior. Here, now at a reasonable motorway speed, it's really relaxing. You just rely on the dual clutch transmission right there. Nice noise insulation so far, and the upright seating position, indeed a very relaxed feeling. And then to our initial question, you want that SUV coupe feeling or design from the exterior especially. You want a comfortable interior, but you're not willing to pay so much money. And I have to say, also driving-wise, I mean, we have experienced more exclusive cars, no doubt about that. But considering the price of this vehicle, it's really very good price performance they're offering right here. Lane change. Car is not shaking up too much. So here, still pretty stable as for suspension, and I also didn't notice any back pain as for suspension yet either, so it's not like fierce bumps would be transported to your spine directly through or something. Then we can also let us drop back a little bit and see what about the acceleration when we are already at speed. So first of all, let's check the consumption figure before we do it's about 7 liters at the moment. So and now I'll wait until the road is straight, so we don't have any bias when going downhill or uphill or something. There we go, and I leave it in normal D mode so far. Let's go. $120, $130, and 150 kilometers an hour. So you see, it's not a very quick engine. It takes some time until the turbo sets in, also until the downshift is happening. But you still, due to the turbo, you can accelerate on the motorway. And here still at about 140 kilometers an hour now, so like 80, 85 miles an hour. Still reasonably silent, so it's not that the wind noise would be picking up too much actually. So, and once again, very stable here also at the higher speed. Gives a very good, calm and collected feeling. So together with all the factors I mentioned, I could very well imagine also driving a longer motorway trip here with the new Arkana. Again, not the most silent vehicle we've been testing recently, but once again, you have to consider the price and the price-performance ratio. Really have to say, from the look and feel we have here, also that's influencing you while driving, from stability we experience here and so on, and then I can also, just be fine with not having the most powerful acceleration also. So very, very well done. Once again, lane change. It's actually also quite fun to steer it around. So this was a nice motorway part. Let's now get off the motorway. Have here some countryside driving for you. Good feeling in the brakes as well. So you can finally tune that where you need to have it. Turning indicator sound doesn't sound too sophisticated, but also not too bad. And we can also check out how the car behaves then here in the corner. So it's always a good test here. Exits of the motorways. Here you're still 80 kilometers an hour, quite quick. Now there's some body roll. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel that it would be the most natural terrain for the vehicle, but still quite okay. And what's also interesting are these driving modes. You have a button here, like a flower symbol in the middle console, called My Sense, or Multi-Sense is the topic. And you can put it to sports mode, and then the digital gauges, they change, adapt a little bit. The RPM meter is bigger, and then there's also better throttle input from 30 kilometers to 70. So that's it. So yeah, you also heard that the gears are turned up higher than for this. So yeah, what's happening? Ambient lighting is changing, instruments are changing, powertrain then more throttle input, and also shifting up later, shifting down earlier. And also the steering here in the normal My Sense mode is really soft. And in the sports mode, you have a little bit more resistance. To me, I think that's a little bit better than in this case. And there's also the eco mode, that would then be the difference, opposite side of it, reduced throttle input then for that. But let's stay in the sport mode for a second. So we can also, for example, accelerate out of this roundabout. It's always a good test to have these roundabouts. Yeah, a little bit more feedback now in the steering wheel, but still doesn't change, the whole characteristic, just a little bit. But throttle input indeed is increased, and the shifting does make a difference, since you can only get these here as the automatic versions. Of course, this then also has an effect. These driving modes usually don't affect that much anything, when you have the manual driving. So also interesting to have these sporty driving modes. So if you want a little bit more tune to that, you can then pick that sports mode. So now after driving it a little bit further, and also now fast in the corners, I have to say, it looks a little bit sporty from the exterior than it feels while driving it. But again, that's not a bad thing at all. I think the comfort is really nice. So from the driving part, I have to say, this car is for someone who really appreciates the SUV Coupé design look on the exterior, but wants a rather relaxed driving feeling. And I really have to say that also comparing to older Renault models, this one here already gives you a quite sophisticated driving feeling. And I think that's one of the core things here about this vehicle. We had some higher speed driving now, so the consumption went up to about 9 liters now. I reset it once more to give you also some kind of a minimum consumption when we rather keep it at slower and steady speeds. Of course, from these small turbo engines, you cannot expect that much, because when you need the power, you also have to turn up the RPMs, and then they also go quite high in the consumption. This will be very interesting at a later stage with the inbuilt hybrid system. Here we have the mild hybrid system, so some recuperation. This can help a little bit here and there, but of course it won't make the biggest difference. The other engine, which is the true inbuilt hybrid with a bigger battery, this will change things, and it also has this, these mechanisms that you can drive it electric. Sometimes directly the combustion engine powers the wheels, and sometimes it serves as a generator. There are different, different philosophies out there from Honda and also from Nissan now, for example, with the all-new Qashqai. So very interesting what's to come right there. But today, the normal petrol engine, which probably will be the best seller so far. Let's see, mirror adjustment, also easily done while driving, right here. That side as well. The blind spot monitor is maybe we've seen on the motorway, by the way, integrated in the in the very side of the mirror right there. And once again, the overview. I can see very well what's happening behind me and also to the front. And really cool always to take a look at this orange color. That is definitely really nice. So overall, I would say here at this speed here, really relaxed. Motorway, faster driving was still also okay. Not the sportiest drive as the exterior would suggest, but also not necessary. Very relaxed and quite sophisticated. So actually a lot of positive impressions. And here now at a rather rolling minimum consumption, I'm even down at 4 liters on 100 kilometers. And of course the truth then after all will be somewhat in between. So some 6-7 liters on 100 kilometers will be a realistic figure. But of course we'll also give you another update when we finished our driving part in here for the day and talk about the final fuel consumption or the fuel economy in our conclusion. Also good view to the GPS system, this new one in this vertical scheme in the optional thing, but I can also have the GPS then showed you earlier here in the middle part, in the middle instruments, and here also shifting pedals, so you can shift down the gears yourself. This would be another alternative if you want a better acceleration boost, then you can shift down yourself first, or if you're driving down a hill for a longer period of time or something, then this could also be something where you use the shifting pedals right here. Now some more city traffic and still not experience any back pain or something. So again, here, steering, you have to turn quite a lot. Not the most progressive. Once again, easy to steer. Everything relaxed. I think overall, good rating for our driving part today. And now to our conclusion for today with the Renault Arkana. First of all, exterior, a very central styling, and they really have oriented their design on the existing very popular SUV coupés, especially in the RS line, of course, a very sporty central look. Still, this segment here is splitting in love or hate, really polarizing. I would like to know from you in the comment section, are you on the love or on the hate side as for the SUV coupés? Interior, now with more sophisticated styling if you compare all the Renault models. So overall a good build quality, and you also get animal-free seating in the lower trim levels. The space you have on the interior, not so much on the rear bench, but the trunk is very well usable. Overall a decent size here for the vehicle. As for driving, well, this small petrol engine here today, it doesn't give you a big power boost. It doesn't sound that cool. Yeah, that's maybe the one downside. It just takes until the car gets going and then it doesn't sound that sophisticated. But other than that, it is indeed an overall sophisticated driving feeling as for suspension, as for the noise insulation and so on. And yeah, that's the best thing about this vehicle. It's overall a very, very good price performance offering, and starting even lower than 30,000 euros. Of course, more than 30,000 euros when you have some equipment in it. It's one of the best, or maybe the best price performance offering in this SUV coupe segment. So, of course, there here and there are some downsides. Consumption, by the way, is something 6 to 7 liters on 1 kilometers, so 30 mpg US, 40 mpg UK. But although we have some downsides, which is no wonder at all, considering the price of this vehicle, this is a super decent offering, and I'm quite sure it will be very successful. Again, polarizing this whole segment. Is it something for you? Tell me in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed our episode for today. See you next time.